but nevertheless, he played a pretty solid turn game that matchup. He defended quite well. Again, his push was slowed down a little bit by the fact that when Bisu pushed with those Dragoons early on and Hwasin didn't go for those Vulture Mines early on, I think that had a huge part to play in the outcome of the match, because that slowed down Hwasin's turn push at least by a couple of minutes. So I think all those things ultimately added up to give Bisu the game. But if you were Hwasin right now, you're just going to be absolutely despondent. You are just going to be in the pits of Hades right now, because he played well and he still lost, and it looked like he had the game and he still lost, and he's just got to be so low right now. His confidence has got to be at rock bottom, and if he loses this match, I don't think it matters whether or not Loki is a map that is suited to his style of play. I don't think he's going to be able to come back. We have seen players come back from 2-0 down before, but excuse me, considering that he's up against Bisu, who is a tough enough ask for him as it is. And I'm sorry I didn't give the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown, but luckily for us, the Caspar referee has just lagged out, and so they're probably going to have to restart the game, so I'll be able to give you guys a count next time around. Hooray. So that rocks. They're probably going to have to restart the game thanks to the Caspar referee. That's sexy. Thank you, referee, for that, because I forgot to give a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 count in the middle of that. So hooray. And I believe they're going to restart the game when they do that, whenever that happens. So, because they didn't pause it, and I think I should probably take this opportunity to restart. No, I'm not. I was thinking of restarting Internet Explorer. I'm sorry, Sequel. Yeah, I was thinking of restarting Internet Explorer, but I think they're probably going to start up the match right away. So, do you guys think I have time? While they get their setup again, do I have time to restart Internet Explorer, or will I miss the game if I do it? Oh no, they've resumed the game, sorry! So I just see the pylon warping in for Bisu. Bisu's first pylon is warping in just for syncing purposes, and Hwasin has just started his first supply depot. So that should allow you guys to think. I'm really sorry I didn't give the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was just totally rambling on and talking nonsense, and I just completely forgot, which is going to make it incredibly difficult for me to sync the video later on, when I sync the audio later on to the video when the VODs come out. But I hope the few things that I've marked on help with the syncing. The gateway has just started for Bisu, so Bisu's just started his gateway again, just for purely syncing purposes. So as I was saying, just commenting on the player's state of mind, I think Hwasin has just got to be in an awful state right now, because he was destroyed. First of all, Bisu picked him at the ceremony and said that Hwasin was his insurance policy, and then Hwasin came with some sort of lame comeback that I don't even remember, that was pointless and doesn't mean anything. And on top of that, and it looks like Hwasin is going to find himself in a huge amount of trouble here, because Hwasin has gone for the same build that he went. Both players have gone for the similar builds as last time, but Bisu's gateway is going to be up earlier, and Bisu's scouting in the right direction. He's scouting counter. Okay, he's not. Okay, he's not. Or is he? He is. He is scouting in the right direction, so he's going to find Hwasin's base, and he's going to know exactly what Hwasin is doing right now, and he is therefore going to be able to pressure Hwasin early on with his first couple of zealots. And once again, Hwasin is not going to be able to deny Bisu the scout. Potentially, Hwasin is going to be denied the scout, and the other thing is that Hwasin doesn't necessarily know where that probe has come from. It could have come from the south, and just again for reference, Hwasin is at 3 o'clock base and Bisu is at 12 o'clock, and Bisu has started up that cybernetics core already. So it could be possible that Bisu hasn't gone for that first zealot yet. He might have just gone to invest the resources straight away in the cybernetics core rather than going for the zealot first. And if that is the case, he won't be able to pressure Hwasin as much as I thought he might be able to. But again, on Python, we have seen, and Hwasin's scouting in the right direction, so Hwasin at least is going to have some idea of what's coming his way. He is putting that factory up. Once again, he hasn't chosen to put anything at his choke. And you don't really need it, because the ramp on Python is very narrow, and you could probably just block it with a single marine. You can block it with a single marine, and Hwasin is now in Bisu's base, and Bisu has not gone for that zealot initially like he did the last time around, so he's probably just going to go for that Dragoon first of all straight away, try and maybe pressure Hwasin early on with a couple of Dragoons before he gets those tanks up, like he did in the last game. And again, I think this matchup is again going to come down to overall play. If one of the players can establish a sneaky expansion, which is much harder to do on this map than it was on Desperado, and the key factor obviously is the confidence here. Hwasin is going to have to do something. He's going to have to find some way of turning this around, because at the moment he's just being totally outplayed by Bisu. That expansion did give Bisu the advantage in that game, so we shouldn't underestimate Hwasin. If he can keep Bisu's expansions down, if he can keep on level terms, not let Bisu sneak ahead economically like he did the last time around, Hwasin might still come out on top. And Hwasin going for the identical strategy. I guess he watched that replay and realized that it wasn't as much a problem with his strategy as much that he did not have knowledge on that Expo, and I bet we will probably see Hwasin scanning and sending SCVs all over the place to make sure Bisu doesn't get that kind of economic advantage yet again this time around. And Hwasin has got 4 Marines to block that ramp off, so Bisu is not going to be able to do too much damage to him. And Hwasin, as I said, he's going for a virtually identical build to his last game. He's setting up a command center in his main, so that should give him the early advantage in terms of expos. And Bisu's Dragoons are going to try and get up that ramp now. Hwasin doesn't have his siege tank out yet, but he's just using that height advantage to try and hold Bisu off at the moment, and he's able to do so quite well with the positioning of those Marines. He needs to get that siege tank out ASAP to try and slow those Dragoons down. And again, it'll be interesting to see whether or not Hwasin this time around goes for the spider mines and a couple of vultures before he goes for siege tech. Bisu's already got his robotics facility up, and he's starting up an observatory first this time around. He hasn't started up that the robotic support bay yet, so I guess Bisu's anticipating vultures and spider mines first. But we did see the last time around Hwasin didn't go for the spider mines, and Bisu's got 3 Goliaths up now, so Hwasin is going to find this difficult to take his national expo, because Bisu does have 3 Dragoons and Hwasin doesn't yet have siege mode on his tank. And Bisu once again trying to micro up that ramp, so Hwasin microing quite well for the moment, holding Bisu off. And Hwasin has floated that barracks over, and Bisu didn't hide his tech on this occasion. We have seen before Protoss players, especially Reach, did it very well against Justin, where he hid his robotics facility away from the prying eyes of that floating barracks. But I suppose the robotics facility in and of itself is going to be expected. It's nothing unusual. The fact that Hwasin is being forced to float that barracks away means he might not see the robotic support bay when it goes up. And I'm just looking to see whether or not he has put that up, or he's probably saving up for it right now. It looks like Bisu's actually gone for that expansion, so Bisu has realized that Hwasin is probably building an expansion behind that ramp, was building an expansion above on that ramp, and Hwasin has got 2 tanks out, and Hwasin going for an identical build. He felt it was enough to win him the game the last time around, and he feels it should be enough to win him the game this time around. And it might very well be, if he can stop Bisu from getting a sneak expansion, and he plays exactly the same way as he did last game, he might still be able to come out on top. Although keep in mind, Bisu did invest resources in that extra expansion, and he still lost about 6 or 7 Dragoons to those vulture spider mines, and because of that was what ultimately allowed Hwasin to set up that contain. And Hwasin now setting up his engineering bay, and I feel that it's probably going to be up in time. Bisu now coming up with about 5 Dragoons. Hwasin does have a lot of tanks though, so he should have more than enough to actually slow Bisu down. And Bisu's actually going for the Citadel of Adam first, so Bisu might be going for a Templar drop here, or he might just be going for a Dark Templar drop, or he might just be going for pure Dragoons and Zealots. I do feel that by the time he gets his Templar up and out, and by the time he builds his Templar archive, I think Hwasin is probably going to have enough turrets around in his base, and he's going to be able to defend his base very well. But again, it's going to be a factor of slowing Hwasin down for Bisu long enough that he can establish his expansion. That seems to be Bisu's game plan here. Slow Hwasin down in his base and try and get up an economic advantage, trying to expand that extra expansion. I do see the map is revealed at the 9 o'clock position, and I'm not sure if that's Bisu there trying to set up another expansion like he did in the previous game. And if it is, that might spell trouble for Hwasin. And both players thus far have gone for virtually identical strategy, except Bisu has not gone for the Reaver this time around. It looks like he's gone for the Citadel of Adon. And there are the Templar archives, so Bisu definitely going for a Dark Templar drop. Hwasin has already got his turrets set up though. He's already got those turrets set up and well positioned, and he's got units in there, so he should be okay in terms of defending this. He's got his turrets quite well positioned, quite strategically positioned. There's very few parts of his base that are not covered by turrets. But we have seen before with Dark Templar, in the previous game on this map, Bisu did go for the exact same strategy. He did go for the Dark Templar, and the turrets did not cover the entire part of Hwasin's base, and that allowed Bisu's Templar to harass him quite effectively. And if Hwasin isn't careful, he might find that he has the same dilemma this time around. Though I do feel this time he's got a few more turrets positioned around, so they should give him adequate coverage, and he should therefore be able to defend against any Dark Templar drops. And Hwasin just patrolling the inside of his base with those tanks and those Marines. He might find them killed off by the Dark Templar if he doesn't move them back when the drop comes. But he probably should be able to do that, and Bisu just continuing to pump up the observers. And I'd like to see what's going on at the 9 o'clock. And it looks like Bisu is setting up an expansion at that 9 o'clock base. He's got a couple of pylons up, and it looks like he's going to invest in that expansion.